Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be a monthly budget recap for July 2026 using the Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. If you're interested in seeing that, please stick around. Here we are in my July monthly spread. As you can see, all of my bills have been checked off as everything has been paid for the month of July. July was a unique month for me because it was a 3 paycheck month. That happens to me twice a year. And I actually did not film a budget with me or cash envelope stuffing for the last paycheck of the month, but I did close out my budget for July. So I did want to share that closeout with all of you. We're going to be starting with my first recap page, which is my debt payment plan, and some very exciting news to share when it comes to debt. My only source of debt is my Nelnet student loan, and at the end of July 2026, I officially have less than $10,000 left to pay on my student loans, which is really, really exciting. My total balance is currently $9,988.18. My interest rate is just over 5%. My minimum payment, I actually haven't had a minimum payment. I have federal student loans, they've been on hold, but I've been paying $400 a month. I did actually just figure out my new repayment plan because I was on the save plan, which is no longer in existence. So I had to go through the process of finding a new plan. I did that. And so my payments are officially restarting come August 2026. They're only going to be a little over $100 a month, but obviously my intention is to pay a lot more than that. I did only have one additional payment in the month of July, which wasn't expected. I was planning on putting more towards my student loan. It just didn't happen. So the only payment I had was my employer's contribution at $333.33 for total debt payments in the month of July of $733.33. Now, last month's debt total was a little over 10,000. We are a little under 10,000 this month. My total debt progress was 355.88, and that means my percentage was 0.5%. This is pretty low considering what I actually paid, and that's because for some reason in July I got smacked with like a ton of interest, like $300. I don't know if it was because they recalculated my interest with my new payment plan that I'm on, but that's why this number was really low despite me making over $700 of payments. When it comes to my overall debt progress, my total debt that I started with is from June 2022 when I purchased my new car. That was the cost of my new car plus my student loans at that time, and that's $70,910.32. We know my current debt total is a little under 10,000. That means I've paid off $60,922.14 or have an overall debt progress of 85.9%, which is super, super exciting. Next, we have my net worth tracker, and here on the left, we have my assets, which I do like to keep private. The liabilities that are listed here, my only one is my Nelnet student loan. So if we scroll down to the bottom here, I have my total assets, which for the month of July equaled $580,661.33. And then my liabilities, which is my $9,988.18, subtracts from that and gives me a total net worth of $570,673.15. Now, that is a large decrease in my net worth from last month, where my net worth was a little over 600,000. So we definitely took a hit. I'm assuming it is in my retirement accounts. That's usually what makes them fluctuate, especially large amounts like this. So my change in amount was $30,841.50, or negative 5.1%. Okay, so the last page we're going to look at is my monthly budget category breakdown. This is definitely my favorite of the closeout pages. I feel like it just gives me the best information about my budget in the month. We're starting at the top here with my starting balance, which is the money that I rolled over from June 2026 into July 2026. And for the month of July, it was a little over $700. My earned income is my income from my full-time job. This number's obviously a lot higher than normal, and that's because I did have a three paycheck month this month. I also did get a raise, which went into effect with my second paycheck of the month, though it was only a couple of $100 extra in my paycheck. Other income, the majority of this was the $333.33 from my employer for my student loan payment, but I think I had returned something to Amazon as well. And then I definitely used a lot of savings in the month of July, primarily for paying my car taxes and my car insurance, but there were a couple of other categories that I pulled from throughout the month. All of this added together equals my total monthly inflow, which for July was $15,657.96. If we look at all of my categories here, we have my food budget listed first. My monthly budget for food is 600. I've been going over budget the last few months, but I actually was under budget in the month of July, which was great. My gas budget, it just happened to fall that I went over in June because I had to get gas like the last day of June or the second to last day of June. And then with the way that getting gas fell in July, I only had to get gas once, really. But then towards the end of the month, I think I filled up like a half a tank. So I was way under budget, which was great, $44. Miscellaneous is my miscellaneous cash spending, which I spent 131. And then miscellaneous bills is the bane of my existence, which is what I lump everything into that I spend money on throughout the month that doesn't fall into any other categories. Should I look into that more deeply? Should I try to separate that out better? Yes, but I just never do. And so for the month of July, that was $1,859.39. Utilities, I have my budget at 400 and it was 339.32 for the month of July. Housing 600, giving is to my church for $20. Debt we talked about 733.33 for the total. Personal is things like Netflix, which I actually decided to get rid of, so I'm not going to be paying for that anymore. But my, other kind of like Kindle Unlimited, my Spotify, things like that. And the total was 42.50. And then savings, I always want to put about $3,000, about half of what I make each month or a little under that into savings. And I definitely went way over in the month of July, $5,545, which again makes sense because it was a three paycheck month for me. Lastly, we have sinking funds, and that was $4,314.36, which is more than my savings use category because I did have an increase in my car insurance from last year to this year. Don't know why. Nothing happened, no tickets, no accidents, but my car insurance did go up. And so I just kind of had to eat that cost difference, though it is lumped into this sinking funds category. My August starting balance is what's going to allow this budget to balance. If I don't include the money that I'm rolling over from July into August, it's not going to be even with my inflow and my outflow. So I'm rolling over $1,507.06. That brings my total to $15,657.96, which is equal to my inflow from up top here, which means we are off by $0 for this budget. And that is it for my July 2026 monthly budget recap. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments about the way that I budget or the products that I use, please do not hesitate to put a comment down below. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.